This will be the next Bitcoin. Chamath Palihapitiya bold prediction. Bitcoin going to 200K soon. As Bitcoin surges, cryptocurrency investors are looking for the next golden goose, which will be exploding in value in 2021. Will Bitcoin remain as the ultimate champion, or will it be dethroned? Is there enough potential in any other crypto to cross Bitcoin? Let's go ahead and watch what Chamath Palihapitiya has to say about Bitcoin and if any other cryptocurrency like Ethereum, XRP, ADA, or Dogecoin will challenge Bitcoin for its position. Hey there and welcome to Investing Few. Is Bitcoin going to hit 200K per coin? In today's video, I will break down Chamath Palihapitiya's interviews about Bitcoin price prediction, new altcoins that can possibly threaten Bitcoin, and future cryptocurrencies. So, without further ado, let's get right into the video. A huge fan of Bitcoin. If we talk about the billionaire and social capital CEO Chamath Palihapitiya, he has always been an ardent supporter of Bitcoin. He invested in Bitcoin when it was worth $135 only, and at that time he invested $1 million in buying Bitcoins. In fact, at one time he owned 5% of the circulating Bitcoins in the whole market, but that is no longer the case. He has always been in favor of the concept that Bitcoin has not just been a trendsetter, ushering in a wave of cryptocurrencies built on a decentralized peer-to-peer network. It's also become the de facto standard for cryptocurrencies, inspiring an ever-growing legion of followers and spin-offs. In an old interview, he highlights why Bitcoin will be a massive hit in future, and today we know his prediction was spot on, as Bitcoin is worth more than $59,000.
That's why I'm a huge fan of Bitcoin. I mean, I'm very, very long Bitcoin. People ask me, on Twitter, I got into a long conversation with a guy over the weekend, and he asked me what my favorite Bitcoin companies were, and I said none. I said, right now you just want to own the underlying commodity. Like Google didn't choose to be in the USD, US dollar business. Google is a business that's amazing that just happens to get paid in US dollars. Similarly, I'd rather own Bitcoin than try to find the onesie-twosie guy at the edges right now. Now, over the long history of time, there will need to be on-ramps and off-ramps, and companies will be successful, but in the short term, owning that currency and allowing water to find its level, particularly in the developing markets, is huge. And if you don't think that this thing is going to rip when Brazil goes through a devaluation, when the Indian rupee continues to get crushed, when you have all of this money trying to get in and out of these countries where there's massive, political instability or monetary or financial instability, you're being naive. It doesn't matter what happens in the United States.
Secret advice: don't look at the price. Chamath Palihapitiya has always advised the investors that Bitcoin's market cap will fluctuate constantly, so don't look at the price because it is very volatile, and just keep an open mind. If you own Bitcoin, then don't fuss over these statistics as they change on a day-to-day basis, and doing so will only lose you the ability to analyze things properly. He advises all investors to stop looking at the price of Bitcoin.
First of all, I've always maintained, and I would just tell you today as well, that this is an instrument that you use as a hedge. I don't think this is something that you trade. And the more that people obsess and focus, in my opinion at least, on what the price action is, the more that it will confound you, the more it will frustrate you, the more that it will look correlated to other assets. But the reality is it's fundamentally not, because it is underpinned by a set of beliefs that are completely orthogonal to the orthodoxy that runs the world today. And it is completely the inverse of how the financial infrastructure of the world operates. So from my perspective, I still think that what I talked about sort of 8 or 9 years ago still holds, which is as a 1% hedge in our portfolio. I think of this as the insurance policy I use to sleep soundly at night, just in case the central banks and the governments of the world step on a landmine. That will perform. And so between now and then, I just think the more people obsess about price action and the more that they want it to behave like a stock or a bond, the more frustrated they're going to get. They're going to find ways of connecting dots that don't exist. It's just not what it is.
What is the next Bitcoin? In an interview when Chamath was asked if he sees potential in any other crypto, he answered quickly with a no, saying that he is pro-Bitcoin and he thinks that for the time being, Bitcoin will stay as a champion no matter what.
Well, I was also curious, so do you see merit in any of the other crypto assets, in particular Ethereum?
No.
It's kind of like when you have a bellwether instrument. The gains typically go to the winner. So I'll use an equity example to make the case. When Obamacare passed, there was going to be a clear tailwind to health insurance. And, you could have bought a basket of health insurers, or you could have just bought United Healthcare. And the basket would have performed okay. United Healthcare 10x'd in the last 10 years. If you believed in smartphones, you could have bought a basket of things in 2010 or 2008 or 9 when the iPhone first got released. You could have bought, Nokia and Motorola and Samsung and HTC, or you could have just bought Apple. And Apple, frankly, just crushed everybody else. The point is that in any market, when there's a clear winner, it's not that these other things can't win, but there's a weird psychological effect that almost drives these second and third tier winners, which is a desire by people almost out of this sense of insecurity to not want to admit that there's a winner simply because they weren't the one to pick it first.
Bitcoin future predictions. In fact, he is passionate that Bitcoin will continue to explode and will eventually reach 100, 150, and finally 200K per coin.
Can you play the clip in 2012 and 13 when it was at 200 and everybody was laughing at me on CNBC every time I would talk about Bitcoin? Where is it going? It's probably going to 100, then 150, then 200,000. In what period? I don't know. 5 years, 10 years, but it's going there. And the reason is because every time you see all of this stuff happening, it just reminds you that, wow, our leaders are not as trustworthy and reliable as they used to be. And so just in case, we really do need to have some kind of, insurance we can keep under our pillow that gives us some access to an uncorrelated hedge. And it's going to eventually transition to something much more important. But for right now, you're just getting all these data points that prove this thing. It's just the fabric of society is frayed. And until we figure out how to make it better, it's time to just have a little schmuck insurance on the side, and everybody's running in. It's just an incredible thing. I could never have imagined it.
If we talk about Chamath Palihapitiya's point of view, he sees undying potential in Bitcoin. He believes that the future of Bitcoin is too bright to be dulled by any other cryptocurrency, and it will continue to be a market ruler for quite some time, as there is no competitor of its caliber. So let's wait and watch what will be the future for other currencies in the crypto space. And with that, we come to the end of today's video. What do you think about the Chamath Palihapitiya predictions about Bitcoin? And do you think Bitcoin will ever reach 200K? Tell us in the comments. Thanks for watching.